Hey everybody, what's happening? Son of a Silverstacker here. In today's supplemental numismatic news and information for the 14th day of September 2022, I'd like to take you directly over here to coinweek.com. There's an article here written by Bullion Shark dated September 13th, 2022, and look at that. Understanding the silver planchet shortage at the United States Mint. Let's get right into it here. If you've been wondering why the current premium over spot silver for American Silver Eagles is so much higher than it is for other world bullion coins like the Canadian Silver Maple Leafs or the British Britannias or Australian Philharmonic, the South African Krugerrands, etc., right? So the reason has to do with a shortage at the United States Mint. Now the shortage, it's not a shortage of silver, but of the silver planchets which are used to strike the coins and which the mint does not produce and must obtain from other sources. And wouldn't you believe if, like, the mint's kind of an older organization, it's been there, done that for a while. Why doesn't the mint have mines and refining operations, to add to their capacity when things kind of get short like this? It makes you scratch the head. Now it says here, and that planchet shortage has resulted in a coin production shortage. And I was just talking about that yesterday because the mint is actually capping American Silver Eagle sales. I told you about it yesterday. We have about 3 months that are about 850,000 per month, and about 2 would be a coincidence. 3 and 4 would be a not a coincidence at all. That would actually be a pattern. Now it says here, the mint having struck only 12.8 million silver eagles through September of 2022, compared to at least twice that amount at this point last year when demand was at a similar level. And that has pushed premiums way up to perhaps the highest levels over spot price ever seen for the American Silver Eagles. Isn't that incredible, folks? We are definitely, we have seen almost 100% premium on American Silver Eagles. We've seen it on the Mexican silver coins for sure. It says here, back in 1986, when the American Silver Eagle program debuted, the law that created the coin specified that the silver for the coins had to come from silver mined in the United States. That was not a problem, since the silver used to make the coins back then came from the strategic and critical material stockpile that had been created in 1968 and was no longer viewed as needed in the 1980s. And I don't believe that stockpile has ever been restocked. So I'm not even sure it even exists anymore. And if it does, it's probably not even close to the numbers where it used to be. Now, once the stockpile was gone, Congress modified the law, creating this bullion and numismatic programs to specify that the mint must purchase freshly mined silver, i.e., one within the year when it was mined. That's interesting. Did not know that. And could not use recycled silver. So it's got to be freshies all the way around. And 1 year mint fresh. It's minty fresh. Wow. According to former U.S. Mint Director Edmund C. Moy, the mint decided against producing its own silver planchets because the demand for its coins fluctuated so much, and because of the large number of resources needed to manufacture its own planchets, he said it was not cost effective to spend the money needed to do that and made more economic sense to outsource the planchet production. In this way, it could trim costs during lower production years. And honestly, Mr. Edmund Moy, he probably should have been more of a visionary, because I would think that if you buy silver, okay, and at that cost average, you could probably replenish the strategic and critical material stockpile and then come back to it when you need it after you sold it back to the feds at the price you got it for. See, I mean, there's always a way, right? So instead of saying no, work around it. There's always another way. Never take no for an answer. But given that demand for silver eagles only dipped briefly for a couple of recent years and has otherwise remained robust in recent decades, and given all the issues the mint has faced in recent years securing planchets, it's unclear if it still makes sense to outsource planchet production as the mint continues to do so. Absolutely. Oh, yes. See, yeah. I mean, come on, right? You know what they're saying here. They need to do their own mining and processing. Another factor is the mint is required not to pay more than the spot price for silver it buys to make planchets, and that could be federal law. But in the current bullion market, that's a tall order, right? In the current environment, obtaining physical delivery of silver when paper contracts mature is often very difficult or does not even happen when it's desired. Yikes, that is not good news for those wanting to hold the physical silver in hand. Plenty of paper out there, I guess. So when the mint must find vendors, companies that can meet its needs for silver planchets and the high standards that the Treasury Department requires, that 1 year minty fresh requires for its coins, especially in terms of weight and fineness. And anytime the government signs contracts with a vendor, it is all subject to the strict requirements of federal acquisition regulations. They love acronyms, I'm telling you. For example, the vendors and their process must be vetted, and the Planchets must meet stringent quality control measures. And yeah, that's ideal scenario. Wouldn't that be nice? Not long ago, the Mint had 4 vendors who could supply silver Planchets it requires and meet its strict specifications for silver eagles, as well as silver medals of the same size. But experts say that at the moment, it only has one main supplier, the Sunshine Minting out of Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, with some additional Planchets coming from a secondary company, Leach Garner in Massachusetts. Isn't that interesting? I didn't know that. The secondary company. Now, COVID-19 pandemic and high spike in demand for silver bullion since the pandemic began in 2020 have added a variety of new twists to this issue, but the Mint has had problems in the past securing enough silver Planchets, and I believe that's why they did not make any Morgan and Peace dollars this year, those proofs that were supposed to be out of San Francisco, and especially for silver eagles, which by law is required to prioritize over anything else other than circulating coin production. So there is a hierarchy of coinage, and wouldn't that be cool to find out that hierarchy of coins, like which one is a priority, what's first, second, third, fourth, fifth place, and all that good stuff? Wouldn't that be cool to know? In 2009, for example, the Mint canceled production of the proof version of the Silver Eagle in order to have enough Planchets on hand for the increased demand for the bullion coins that arose because of the financial global crisis at that time. I think I transposed those. Anyway, it's okay. Going to move on. Back then, securing gold Planchets to meet demand was also a problem. It was reported at that time the Mint outsourced some of the necessary gold Planchets from the Perth Mint. Perth Mint, isn't that cool? They hooked us up. The Mint also indicated that this problem was occurring last year as well, mainly because of the pandemic resulted in production slowdown and supply chain disruptions. Now, did we get some of the Perth Mint alloys last year of the silver? That would be interesting. Plus, Sunshine also makes its own silver products, which it can sell for a higher profit margin than the Planchets it makes for the Mint, and also produces Planchets for some other mints and coin dealers, which basically says here, why would the Sunshine Mint give to the United States Mint at a lower price when it could be making a whole lot more money? Is that sound business advice? Now, do they want to keep the Mint as a customer? Well, I think that all plays into the equation. Last month, U.S. Representative Alex Mooney, a Republican of West Virginia, sent a letter dated August 25th to Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen and Mint Director Venture C. Gibson, alleging that a long-running production slowdown has led to shortages and dramatically higher market prices for this iconic silver coin, the American Eagle. That's the Silver Eagle, that is. Now, as compares to its peers. It also says that he feels the Mint is currently in violation of Chapter 31, Section 5112E of the United States Code that requires the Mint to produce the coins in quantities sufficient to meet public demand, and compares that to the situation at mints as the Royal Mint, which makes Britannia silver coins among others, and the Perth Mint, and so on and so forth, which issue a long line of bullion coins. Now, we kind of know, we kind of looking at the patterns at the United States Mint, 850 one month, 850 another month, 850 another month, and 425. I mean, looks like there's some patterns developing, and they're capping the sales. Now, this letter asks why the Mint has not made it a policy to build a federal, or at least a reserve of Planchets. Absolutely, what a great idea. Who knew? For situations like the one it currently faces, whether it has consulted those other mints to see if could learn from their practices, and when the Mint would be able to once again meet the demand. So far, the Mint has not issued a response that has been made public, but if or when it does, it will undoubtedly highlight the legal constraints it is under as addressed above, until or unless Congress makes modifications to those provisions, or unless the Mint management decides that the Mint should make its own Planchets. This issue is not likely to go away. Boom! Bam! There it is. Who knew? Hope y'all like that one. That was really juicy. What is the Mint going to do, right? What does the United States Mint do? Are we going to compare and contrast them to other mints and look for similarities? And are we going to point out the differences? And let's face it, from the time we're little kids, we are, look, when they sit you down and they give you this piece of paper and they say, hey, one of these doesn't look like the others. Spot the differences. Well, why do you think that is? How come not like, hey, let's spot the similarities? Anyway, that's a whole video for another day, and I want to thank y'all for watching. Thanks for dropping by. Don't forget to hit that like button, and if you do like what you hear and see, please subscribe to the channel. It's free. Son of a Silver Stacker, out.